Okay, so what I want to talk about is the future of MGTOW, right? So there's been a lot of talk about this, and it's a good way to look at things because you're looking at things in terms of down the pipeline. It's not hard for you to keep faith in a movement, quote unquote, faith in a movement or an idea or a philosophy, right? If you can see down the pipeline and know that it's beneficial. And this is really where, if you're logical enough as a man to think this thing through, I just don't see how you can be some of these low testosterone level type beta male dudes. Like, you don't have to even just believe MGTOW whenever it says, this is how women work or anything like that. If you just look down the pipeline, you're literally sacrificing your own well-being, your own health. In fact, let's go a step further and say the state of the economy, the state of the world, the state of the country in particular. Because if you look down the line, then you have, let's say potentially, right, every guy understands MGTOW and goes MGTOW, right? What's that left with? Okay, so no guys, not just some guys, no guys are giving any girls attention, right? The reason why there's even a waiting game in the first place for guys that don't give girls attention, for them to start seeing any type of compliance or results out of them whatsoever, is because they can go back to beta guys and get a little bit of emotional investment. They can get their fix, right? Without those fixes, it changes the entire game. If it's not just some dudes that are doing this and it's all of them, it's not even that it has an effect in terms of everybody being grouped up and doing it. It has like an exponential effect because now nothing's leaking out. And you have these these new stories, new interesting stories that women are turning to animals to just get the attention, but that's not gonna suffice. Like, that's a substitute. They don't want to sit there dealing with that, that heater was going the whole time. Imagine that, a girl that's just sitting there in her fucking apartment or whatever, her room, and she's just cuddling there with their cats all over the bed and stuff and everywhere. It's just sad, and they are sad. They're depressed, and they're already getting more depressed. As much as they do this, that, and the third that thinks that they're doing something progressive, the reality is the rate in which they're happy is plummeting, and there's reason for that. Again, looking at the numbers, looking at what's to come in the pipeline, it's not really something that's faith-based where a dude has to sit back and think, this is going to pan out, oh, I know it's just going to pan out eventually. Like, no, it's very obvious where this is headed. And, these beta guys out here, you have to understand, whenever I'm talking to you about this is literally affecting your actual biology for you to be doing what you're doing. It's hurting your biology for you to be taking this stance. Not even just in terms of this future that I'm talking about. There's proven studies talking about how your testosterone levels are dropping. Like, you wouldn't even understand it. You think, oh, I need to, take some kind of medicine, or I need to start whatever. No, this is from them destroying your lifestyle, from them getting you to be more passive. Did you know that whenever you walk past a dude, if you get out of his way, that lowers your testosterone? Whenever you're sitting there being when you're being a pussy, it drops your testosterone. Whenever you walk forward and you don't, move for people. I'm not saying just run people over. I'm just saying there is this little bit of because men are triggered by challenges and competition, and that, that actually affects you in real life. It affects your actual hormone level. Exercising does. A lot of girls do this to their boyfriends, and they'll tell them, oh, you don't need to work out, you don't, you look fine the way you are, you don't need to lose weight, or maybe some of them do, want those things. They want them to lose weight and things like that because they try and build them up so that they look like a high value person in front of their high value friends. But overall, they want to keep a cap on things, and they're going to limit you and destroy you from within if you let them. And it's going to be things to destroy your masculinity every time. Trying to increase testosterone in an estrogen-rich environment. If you're stressed out, coincidence. If you're stressed out, it drops testosterone. You know what I mean? It's a valuable commodity. Even girls want testosterone. You can look at that as well. A lot of females' testosterone is driving up now. And I don't think they really know how to handle it. They look at assertiveness and they think it's aggression. You can see it in them. They want to be able to do what the men can do in terms of assertiveness, even in a professional position, but they can't do that without evolving their emotions into it. And the closest thing that they can liken to that is aggression. The closest thing that they're good at using anyways, that's the closest thing they know to assertiveness is aggression. And that's why it always comes out like that from them. There's other ways though. There's supplements that you can take. I'm not talking about like steroids, but I mean like there's they're sort of like vitamins that promote healthy testosterone. There's a lot of different supplements out there. What is it? DHEA. There's a few supplements out there. Those are just some of the more natural ones, but a bunch of different companies create these. They might be branded for something else, but they help level out your testosterone. You could get into something like that. And if you're an older person that's having just trouble producing testosterone just based off of your health, there's also testosterone replacement therapy. So that's something that guys should be aware of, because it's not just a hormone that means nothing. It's not just there for nothing. It affects who you really are and the type of energy you give off, the type of command you have in your voice, and ultimately your true masculinity. And if you can't, as a man, if you can't move in a masculine way, you'll never be successful and reach your peak. State in which you're acting on the world. Like, you have to understand, you have to stop believing the lie. You have to stop giving into their shit, because what it is they think that they've gotten like steps and steps ahead, but fail to remember that guys kind of generally have been taught to take a step back and try to empathize with the women because several factors. So we kind of give you this head start approach to it, and they've taken advantage of that. And a lot of these guys are still giving them the benefit of the doubt. And you have to stop. Like, it's just not true. They're not there for the things they say they're there for. They're not there for equality or any of those things. In fact, the people that are generally speaking for them aren't there for equality at all. Even if it came from that originally, they have agendas, and they're controlling the masses of those movements. Don't be a man that's being controlled by a woman that's being controlled by a woman. You know what I mean? Like, you got to get your priorities straight. What do you think they have you in mind in terms of a greater future? They don't. If you don't believe me, pay attention to what they're doing. Everything's going to come back to what we want: more power. It's not rights. It's power they want. They're using, this victim ideology to gain power by any means necessary. Like, guys are so naive. Like, I've met guys that see a girl and they think that she's beautiful. I'm like, do you understand how much makeup she has on, dude? Like, I'm not saying that she doesn't look great, but I'm saying I have no idea what she looks like without that makeup. And you have to have seen some of those videos out there. Now, people can make themselves look like freaking animals if they wanted to. Trust me, dude. These before and after pictures of girls with makeup, you can't trust anything you see. And you see these girls in like nightclubs where it's all dark and stuff. You can't trust that stuff. You can't trust any of it, man. Like, for example, we kind of, a lot of guys at least, give them the benefit of the doubt they're not cheating. Just because they're not doing this, that, and the third, or maybe they are. See, the thing is, girls cheat in an entirely different way. They might not actually even do anything physical, and they know what they're doing though. Deep down, they're out there cultivating a little clan. They got a guy over here and a guy over there, and they both kind of, while they're dating you or while they're dating another guy, they'll use those guys for other resources. And if anything were ever happen, she can tell that guy or her boyfriend or whatever they need to hear in order to get by with that we're just friends. No, that guy's plan B, and there's a plan C to that plan B, and there's a plan D to that plan C. Every girl has these guys. Every girl has multiple guys in the pocket, and they keep them around for different things, whether it be emotional support or money or whatever it is, or dick or whatever the fuck it is. They keep them around for that shit. I mean, just think about it. A lot of the things that they even accuse us of, they do. That we're looking at other girls, or that we're even looking at them. You know that they look at us just as much. They're just a lot more sneaky at doing it because they're a lot more insecure. And they would lead us to believe that we're insecure, that we have ego issues. Oh, guys, they're always trying to be the alpha. You have no idea how much girls are trying to be the alphas. This whole slut walk movement, they don't want to be called sluts while they go around dressing and looking and acting like sluts. Whatever, man, but guess what? The ones that are calling people sluts are girls. Girls are calling other girls sluts. There's no guy in the freaking world that's walking around talking about, oh man, I hate sluts. I wish they'd get out of here. I can't believe there's so many sluts at my party. Why are there so many sluts at this strip club? Like, no guy in the world is thinking that. Like, there's like the 40-year-old virgin joining that club and that's it. Like, I don't understand y'all thinking that guys are out here. I mean, I'm sure there's some guys out there. There's always somebody who's isn't quite all there that's out there doing that, but it's girls that are calling other girls hoes and sluts and stuff like that, and that's because they're attacking them. They're the ones doing it. Guys, they say guys have crazy egos. What do you call social media, dude? Social media isn't geared towards dudes. That stuff is like, I mean, girls are all over that, getting mad amounts of likes and mad amounts of whatever is there is to get on social media. I don't know because I stay off of it. But, I know what that is. I've seen it before. I've had accounts before. I'm well aware of it. I'm, pretty well cultured. And I know what that is. You know what it is. Everybody knows what it is. All these comments, oh, you're so beautiful, blah, blah, blah. She has to be, you understand? They know exactly what kind of picture they need to post based off of how good they look or how good they don't look. How whatever. They know what they can get away with, and they know what they're doing whenever they, like with the reactions they got, those, they already knew they were going to get those. They asked for those responses. Do you get that they need to post those pictures as often as they do to keep themselves from going fucking crazy, to keep themselves from being depressed and crying themselves to sleep at night? If no guy did that for them, do you know what kind of mental state they would be in? Like, they would go get pets. That's what I'm talking about. They would go get a dog. You'd be like, dog, do you think I'm pretty? Like, I'm serious. They'll do this. These are the cat ladies, and they're hitting the walls already. I'm sure you guys have heard about hitting the wall. These chicks getting a little bit too old. They know where their time is coming. That's what I'm saying. All these things that you think they're not thinking about, it's totally apparent to them, and they always have their eye on the ball. They want to play it out to the public, or rather to unknowing, beta males that are just not up on the game of what's going on. They want to make it out to them as, oh no, it's none of that, it's just all of this. And it's a total lie. It's all based on control. All of it's control. Period. Don't be controlled. Don't be a beta. Don't believe in the things that they say. They have egos. Their egos are out of this world. They cheat. They cheat more than we do. They have the ability to cheat more than we do, and easier than we do, and slyer than we do, because they don't even have to commit to any of those relationships, because there's so many betas out there that are going to be like, okay, well, I'll do your dry cleaning for you and fucking eat you out, and and then I'll console you and cuddle you because your boyfriend isn't going to do any of the things, and she's like, you know what, don't worry about it. I don't need you. I got 3 guys that can, do twice as much as that, and they can all do it separately, so I don't even need that guy. Like, that's how their world is set up. Like, they're like testosterone vampires. It's like, and they can't think that that's attractive to us. Like, it's not. Like, even girls, they're physically changing from having more testosterone by like going out and conquering these weak men and using them as little toys, like a cat plays with a ball of yarn or something. That's what they're like. They're just playing with these little weak men and they're draining them of their testosterone. Those guys, they become more like a woman. They start talking softer. It changes their whole composure. And next thing you know, it changes the woman's composure just as well. It physically is changing people's biology is what I'm saying, and it's going to have an even greater effect in the future. It's going to affect the economy. It already is affecting the economy. And they're thinking that, oh, it hurts us for girls to be working. We never did not want you to work. Other than those guys that worked so that their woman didn't have to because they were just making that kind of money and they didn't want their wife to have to work. But you're not hurting us by working. You're helping, in fact, covering some of the cost. Maybe there can be a few more sugar mamas rather than sugar daddies out here. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not mad at that. That's what I don't understand is that nobody is holding women back. Like, again, I'm sure there's a few select, in there. There's a small demographic out there that's out there actively trying to tear women down, but we're not conspiring on any of that shit. No guy's not trying to hire a chick for nothing or any of that. Other than how you're acting now, what girls are doing now is what turning a lot of dudes off. You seen it. Even dudes that aren't totally woken up to red pill knowledge are like, hey, I don't want to meet with these people. I don't want to meet with these women in public and things like that. This thing is coming up everywhere. They're totally terrified of losing their job. High position, high status dudes, again, cutting them off. And it's only hurting them. It's not hurting dudes. It's hurting them. Like, if you ask me, like, you want a dude, I don't know, man. I'm just saying, it's just not going to work out in the long run. The future of it is, and a lot of people are talking about already, there's going to be these robots that people are going to be able to date and things like that. They're expecting the technology to grow. I've looked into it. It's actually pretty interesting. Now, I'm sure that it's not something that's not going to happen anytime soon, but a lot of dudes seem like it's kind of a natural tendency. They don't really give a fuck. They will give up all this bullshit and go with the technology if it means, and it kind of makes sense. Imagine if you had a companion that was programmed to help you succeed, and on top of that, give you the things that you needed biologically. You can't really be mad at that, especially whenever your alternative is dealing with this totally irrational human being who's going to use all of their legal leverage and emotional manipulation and emotional intelligence prowess over you to destroy your confidence, to make you a depressed person, to put you in debt, and use you, basically. It's kind of a clear-cut choice there. You're not really leaving us with much of an option, I'm not saying that I'm interested in anything like that, or I'm not, but I will tell you this. I've looked at some of the technology on it, and it's pretty interesting, to be honest with you. And even more interestingly, out of all of the companies that are creating robots and different types of robots that can do different things, one of them was Disney that was so interesting. Disney creating, how they have the attractions and the robots they've created. It was pretty interesting. You should look it up. It's the Avatar robot, and it looks incredible. It looks incredibly real, like being in the movie. That's incredible. And we all know how far, not even just the printing of organs, but the how much closer and closer they've got to creating things that are like actual skin and etc. So it's really not as far-fetched as I thought it was initially before I started doing my research. But again, this is the future that we're talking about, and it's not good for anybody, but it's especially not good for women. It's not good for men. It's against our nature. It's going to make everyone be less optimal in terms of health. And like I said, these dating apps and social media, they're not helping because they're giving girls validation, which, by the way, is the only thing they want. They're giving girls validation, and it's fake validation. It's false shit. They don't require any people skills. They don't require anything. And they can just sit up and, catch the low-hanging fruit on dating apps like Tinder. Those girls on Tinder, you know what Tinder's for. Don't pretend like it's so. I use it like social media. Yeah, you're full of shit, okay? You're full of shit. You're on there being an attention whore because you know dudes are on there to, hook up, and you're over there creating a profile just basically playing with the attention. Again, they know exactly what they're doing. Don't ever let them lie to you and say that they don't. Don't ever let them pretend, oh, well, we wear makeup for ourselves. It's not just for guys. It's not even really for guys at all. Mm-hmm. Well, explain to me why you wake up in the morning ahead of time to make sure you have on makeup before this dude wakes up and sees the true monster that you really look like. Because whenever your terrible personality matches up with the person that you look like, now you look crazy. Like, if you were a nice person and then you looked like that, it'd be a different story. But you know you're a bitch. You know you act like that. You know you get away with more things than you're supposed to get away with. As though you don't want people to see you ugly. The true you, what you really look like. You don't want people to see that. I always say there's 3 things a girl can't be, or she can't be any 2 of 3 things, and she's out of there. She can't be fat, she can't be a bitch, and she can't be ugly. If she's 3 of those things, then she's unfuckable. If she's 2 of those things, wouldn't touch her with a 10-foot pole. You know what I'm saying? Like, you really gotta have 2 of those marked off at least. You gotta be, I don't know, I'm just saying, and this isn't even just me, I'm just saying these are girls that are fuckable, is you at least have to have 2 of those things, or rather, you can only have 1 of those things be a negative. Like, if you're gonna be a bitch, then you better be beautiful and skinny or fit or whatever, right? If you're gonna be fat, then you better have a nice face and a great personality. If you're gonna be ugly, then you need a great body and great personality, right? Those are basically 3 options for you to even be fuckable. But see, girls have gone so far that they feel like they don't even need that. I've seen this fat, ugly bitches who are so entitled they won't even settle for anything less. They're so serious too. Can you see where this is coming from? But a dude who's making 6+ figures, fit, the whole 9, these alpha males and stuff. You mean they're telling me they're going to come into the interaction on the B side of the negotiation? That's incredible. You guys gotta take your nuts back, man. You gotta take your nuts back. Be a man. Be what you were born to be. Would your forefathers be proud of this bullshit? Like, really? And they want you to. That's the thing. These girls, they want you to do that. They don't want a guy that's a toy. They don't respect that guy. You know what I mean? They basically want a guy to keep them in limbo. And no, I'm not saying that girls aren't looking for commitment. I'm saying that they're definitely looking for commitment, but they don't want commitment. You know what I mean? Like, they want to be fighting to get you, but when they actually get you, they will lose all interest. That's why they bitch you up. They want to break you down. They find the best man they can find. It's going to be the hardest to break down. Then they go and proceed to breaking him down gradually, as long as it takes. And once they've conquered him, and once he becomes boring and he's not going out anymore like she didn't want him to, and he sold his motorcycle like she wanted him to, and he's got the bow tie on and his hair slicked back like a bitch, she's going to go fuck somebody else right behind your fucking back while you're going to do what she told you to do, or go pick up some groceries that she set you on some kind of maze quest to go find, giving you only some of the clues necessary to go find it, knowing that you're going to need to call her back for more information just so she can, issue you a compliance test and make you balance another treat on your nose. Now, I can do more videos on game, or I could do more videos on MGTOW. It really doesn't matter to me. I'm just really kind of here to talk about whatever you guys want to talk about, or the information that I think that is going to be most helpful. And this particular episode was more geared towards beta males. I'm just trying to open their mind to what's really going on out here, just in case, because they're really not aware. They really believe into the bullshit. They're really buying into the shit. And it makes sense if you're believing the bullshit. It makes sense. It all sort of adds up because there's true intentions in some of them. I think that a lot of those movements started from a good place, from good people, but it was taken advantage of. And again, that old quote, girls don't know what they want, is so fucking true. They might know what they want subconsciously, but they don't consciously know. They can't tell you. But anyways, I'm down to talk about whatever. This one was just geared towards these, because I've seen it. It's just weird. These very feminine dudes who just, it's just scary what's happened to them. It just seems like they've had their nuts beheaded on like a guillotine or something, and the feminists just went and grabbed their dick and shoved it inside of their scrotum and turned them into a girl or something. It's just terrible. I see them, I'm like, what happened to you, man? But anyways, I know there's some uprising in the community of MGTOW where it's like a bunch of fake MGTOW coming in trying to get money from the movement, whatever you want to call it. There's a bunch of people coming in that are faking it. There's a bunch of people who are saying a lot of MGTOW things, but then they say a lot of beta things. Don't think I'm saying any beta things in here. I mean, I'm not a beta, so it would be kind of hard for me to just not accidentally say some beta shit. But I will admit that I do think there's power in PUA in terms of knowing your enemy. And, I mean, we're looking for an outcome where we have the most control. And we're talking about skills that surround around that. And I've heard here recently in particular, and I'm a viewer, I'm a fan of Sandman, and I'm sure this is an old video, so things might have even changed by then, but I thought he was reviewing RSD Tyler. Someone from Real Social Dynamics, one of his fans asked him to talk about what does he think of RSD Tyler and RSD Nation. And for a lot of the things that Sandman was saying were correct, but a good degree of it was incorrect. In fact, there's a video, in particular, one of the things he was saying that PUAs center women as their driver in life, as if that's what's most important to them, and as if that's like the core of everything they do. And that's totally false. That's not what RSD Tyler in particular goes by. That's not something he agrees to. That's not something that he does. That's a false claim on him. Not that Sandman was lying, but maybe that he just might not have known. I mean, you wouldn't know unless you were a fan of the content, I suppose. But I literally have seen, seminars where he's talking, and he specifically talks about how you are the center of what's valuable to you in your life. You're the center of it. It's kind of this holistic approach to game rather than just going out and cold approaching girls and, just, trying your luck with them and trying to entertain them and dance around like a monkey. It's not really that. It's not really what it is. It's about building consistent game, real self-confidence, and etc. with starting from yourself as a center. I mean, they damn near drew a diagram with yourself as the center when they were talking about this. I can put the video link in the description, but I'm not going to timestamp it where he actually talks about this, so you guys can view it. I'm sure it's in my recent history. But anyways, that's just one thing I want to clear up. I'm sure most people, just because I know MGTOWs can get really hands off to PUA as soon as they start hearing some of the negative things that the MGTOW are saying about PUA, because they are, they're kind of biased though. You got to think or not necessarily they're biased, but they have a conflict of interest because they're kind of competing for the same demographic in a way. And I'm not saying that's why he said that. I'm just saying that you should be aware of that. And, I'm not here to skew you either which way. Again, like I said, I would rather people just use the information that's going to help them achieve the results that they want. And I think that when in regards to women, you should be able to learn anything that you can about them, not just their evil tactics. You should just, in general, know it. Again, from a holistic approach is going to be your most optimal outcome. Again, it's all about control. Again, I said again a bunch of times right there. But yeah, so don't mistake what I'm saying about PUA as beta. Beta and PUA are not the same thing. That's far from the same thing. And like some MGTOW video producers have already said, I think Sandman even said this himself, that they're not opposed ideas. They're almost like two sides of the same coin. And I really do think that one strengthens the other, if you ask me, in my experience, but that's just for me personally. Anyways, message to beta guys, get involved with one of the two at least. Just take the red pill, man. Wake up, because it's a matter of time. You're either going to be in this manipulated herd of sheep that ends up just confused in the middle of this struggle, or you're going to be awake for it and be able to reap the rewards that will come with it, because that's what's going to happen. The current MGTOW now are going to be the people who laid the groundwork, the forefathers, right? And it'll come to fruition in the future. It's just a matter of time before it does. And that's why I never worry. I never try and change a feminist mind or any of that. I never try and convince women of this ideology, because I already know what's going to happen. Like, why would I sit here and argue with you something I already know to be true? Time will tell. Time will always tell. That's why I don't argue with people, because it's a given. Even the smallest effects over time becomes a grand effect, to the point that it's impossible to ignore it. Anyways, betas, take the red pill. Yeah. Mic gain is super low. Yeah. Oh, that's too high. Okay. I gotta find out what works really best here. So I found a really interesting comment in the YouTube here, on the YouTube comment section. And by the way, guys, don't really count out the YouTube comment section. It's still people. I know a lot of people in there, they're like human viruses that are like bots, and they're just there to ruin everything. But sometimes people have some really constructive things to add. But anyways, I just figured this was a real good way to put it, or at least it was an interesting take. Not that I necessarily agree with it all, but I thought it was interesting, so I figured I'd read it here for you guys. It's pretty good. It says here, and this is again for these beta male guys. I don't want to call you beta male. I don't know what else to call you. Male feminist. I really don't know what else to call you. But I figured I would add this little bit before I converted the video here. So here we go. No, and I'm not sure who this is from. Totally forgot what it was. This was really for research purposes, and then I ended up keeping it and figuring it really tied in well here as far as giving a lesson to you guys. Like, why withhold the information, It says, when women are little girls, they have much less developing muscle mass than boys, leading them to have less pent-up energy. This gives an illusion of girls being simply better behaved and mature. The simple truth of that is that boys have so much energy that they literally can't contain themselves. This is occasionally seen in females with tomboys, but this is an anomaly, not a rule. Due to this fact, many caretakers of children pander to the young females as they are easier to watch over due to their more docile nature. I think I'm pronouncing that right. By the way, I'm reading this exactly as it was written, so if there's grammatical errors, it's because that's the way it was written. That's the first level of imagined superiority, and it starts females on the path to feminism. When males hit puberty, they are hit with even more testosterone, which makes them walking erections. With many families broken down to the single mother demographic, the young male has no one to guide him in this time, and he will often look to males around his mother as an example. So his male image is often crafted by his mother's dating life, which leads to his behavior as either a cuckold or a pump and dump artist. This creates the rift between mother and son, while the mother will then turn most of her attention and affection to her daughter. She will try to live out her own lost dreams and failures through this young, nubile female by encouraging her that she can be anything and deserves everything. This is the next level of imagined female superiority. Added to this is the high school and social media factors, where many young women begin learning to use males for social standing or as attack dogs. Young women are taught that the biggest killers of their dreams, which should all be feminist, are marriage and pregnancy. Women are slowly and subtly taught that they can have a family, but should hold off until they have accomplished all of their goals. This often merges with the narrative in college that leads into gender studies and feminist social justice organizations. These same organizations push women to take stressful, time-consuming jobs in the private sector simply to fill quotas that are owed to women as a whole. This is the third level of imagined female superiority. Now we come to the final level, when the woman has spent her 20s and most of her 30s working her way into a high-paying job, donating to feminist and social justice organizations, all while helping to push the narrative that women are oppressed and deserve more. She finally comes to the goalpost where she can find a mate and have children. However, doctors tell her she has reached a high-risk point for pregnancy due to her age and health thanks to her stressful lifestyle. Few men see her as a viable prospect for marriage due to her age, attitude, and fading looks. This leads to an even bigger increase in stress, and she has cut down her childbearing window to possibly 5 years or less, and her biological clock has become a biological time bomb. Superiority says none of this can be her fault, so it must be someone else's fault. She has wasted her youth and potential motherhood to gain a job she hates, a condo she lives alone in, and a king-size bed that is cold every night. Women are unhappy because they are fighting their basic nature. Yeah, everybody is kind of. They have biological urges to fulfill a simple function to bear children. Men's biological urge is to spread their seed, and they can do that while having a career and building their life alone. Women cannot have children, build a nest, and raise a child while having a career and building a life alone. It may not be fair, but complaining to guys won't change it. And a couple points I wanted to add here, and this is not part of the comment. And remember that your biology, your hormones tell you to protect them. It tells you to hold the door open for them, give them the benefit of the doubt. Well, actually, giving them the benefit of the doubt kind of comes from nurture as well. I mean, all of it comes from nurture. But even your nature, you have to understand, even your nature is telling you to go with the flow of this. And guess what? That's because girls know your nature. It's not that hard. They operate just one step ahead. It's really not that complicated. They operate one step ahead and we operate one step behind because we give them the benefit of the doubt type mentality. That's the type of mentality we have when looking to women. And so they use that not as an opportunity to be understood, but rather as an opportunity to deceive. And they do that by getting an extra step ahead. So we're 2 steps away from them, thinking this is going on, but really that's going on, and that's a total lie on top of itself type shit. Stop believing the bullshit. It's as simple as that. Look at it from an objective point of view with a suspicious eye, and it'll be more apparent to you. That's really all I got for you guys. I didn't mean to get so deep, but just wanted to get that point across. And I just figure, if you gave people a chance to understand that the people who are really honestly there for the right reasons are going to at least see bits and pieces there that, can help you see the truth if you want to see it.